Faith Entertainment. Appreciate you being here. I'm going to draw back on this one good ways because she's passed away, actually. But Elly May Clampett, remember her? Donna Douglas. This is a quote from her. This is one of the coolest quotes I've ever heard from anybody, really. Faith is when you trust God, even though you can't see what's coming around the corner. Actress and singer Donna Douglas, best known for her role as Elly May Clampett on the TV series The Beverly Hillbillies, credits her faith for overcoming her fears as a young actor in Hollywood. She said, "I stood looking around the airport in Newark, New Jersey, trying not to panic. It was the early 60s. I was a young girl. I just arrived from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, hoping for an acting career in New York City. I'd made a terrible mistake." Douglas wrote in an article from '93, "An acquaintance had promised to meet me at the airport, but nobody told me that there are 3 airports serving New York City. I'd originally had tickets for LaGuardia, but at the last minute, the ticket agent switched me to another flight. He didn't mention I'd be arriving in a different airport." Despite her fear in the moment, Douglas remembered that she learned in church as a child. "Believe me, I was afraid, but I had been brought up in the church. I remember that the Bible says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen," she said. "To me, in plain language, that means faith is when you trust God, even though you can't see what's coming around the corner." Douglas prayed, and God provided. "So I said a little prayer. I sat down to wait. I was thankful that when I didn't show up at LaGuardia, my friend figured out what happened and was able to track me down. I'd never been so happy to see anybody in my life." Douglas confessed that she's still fearful and uncertain what job she would find in Manhattan, if any. A few days later, alone in my hotel room, I was about out of courage. I'd come to New York to find work. How did I expect to find a job in Manhattan? I hadn't gone to college. I'd never been in an acting lesson in my life, she said. Although Douglas' dream was to act, she knew that it would be difficult to land a job without experience. Fortunately, some photographers decided to give me a break and hired me to do ads for catalogs and magazines. This led to a few TV commercials where I smiled a lot, but I never said a word, she recalled. Finally, I got a call to audition for a TV game show. The job was an elbow grabber, one of the hostesses who brings the contestants out and presents them to the host. If I'd gotten a position, I'd had steady work, bread and butter money, and national exposure. Once again, I wouldn't have to say a word, she added. Douglas admits she was desperate for the job, but refused to compromise on her values of faith. The day of my audition, I was shown to the office of the show's producer and was thrown for a loop by what came next. "We're looking for a certain kind of girl," he said. "Are you willing to do some extra work after hours?" Warning bells went off in my head, she remembered. She recalled the uncomfortable interaction. "So what does that mean?" I asked. "Would you be willing to go out with one of the sponsors?" "Would the sponsor be married?" I asked. "What does it matter? You'd just be going out to dinner." "No, sir," I said emphatically. "I couldn't do that." Although Donna wanted the job, she was not willing to give up her morals. The producer shifted in his chair. Disappointment overwhelmed me. I'd hear there were girls who were willing to do anything to get work. I had tears in my eyes. "Mister," I said, standing up, "I don't want your job. It's not that important to me." And I walked out, she said. However, God continued to provide for Douglas. "I was mighty surprised when I heard I got the job," Douglas said. "It turned out that there'd recently been a big expose of dishonest game shows, and the producer had to be very careful about everyone he hired. He'd been trying to find a girl who wouldn't do anything questionable." Shortly after her time on the show, Douglas started to receive small parts of Paramount. "I wanted to better myself, so I took acting I need speech lessons. I took acting and speech lessons from a coach who taught me to act and talk like anyone from working girl to a refined lady," Douglas said. "So I hoped I was ready when I went off to be interviewed for a pilot for a new television series. I wanted this part so much it seemed like everything I'd worked and prayed for." After a successful audition, an accident tested Douglas's trust in God. On my way home, I was scheduled to take my car in for an oil change. I'd arranged for the mechanic at the garage to drop me off at home, then take my car back to service it. He was at the wheel, and I was a passenger seat as we waited at the red light when a large Bentley rammed into us from behind, she recalled. The mechanic was okay, but I ended up in the hospital for 17 days. During the time, producers of the television pilot interviewed more than 500 girls for that part. She added that selected 6 for screen tests, and I was one of them. It was wonderful news, except for the fact that I was supposed to show up for the screen test in 3 days. This sure was one corner I couldn't see around. "Please, God," I prayed from my hospital bed, "let me have a chance at this." Douglas, who grew up in Louisiana, was asked to read the lines in a southern accent and milk a goat. Producer said she was perfect for the part of Elly May Clampett. Beverly Hillbillies ran for 9 seasons from 62 to 71. There have been ups and downs in my life, but time and again I found to be true that if you give God your best, he'll meet you where you are and use whatever you have to offer, Douglas said, even when you can't see what's coming around the corner. She was just something special, man. How she lasted so long in Hollywood to be with her faith. I mean, she had it from the word go. I mean, she didn't walk in and with faith and lose it and then get it back again. She didn't walk in without faith and leave Hollywood with it. I mean, she had it and kept it and went home with it. And I think that's awesome. And that's rare, man. That's rare anywhere. God bless her. God rest her soul. All I got for you guys. Hope you enjoyed as I did. Please subscribe if you have not yet. Please like this video. I appreciate it. You have a great day. God bless you, and I'm praying for you.